go ahead and begin. The format tonight is a unique format. This is the first time we've done this. We have a panel of 4 experts in past life therapy. And I'm happy to say that 3 of these experts are new to IBRT. So that is a testimony to how we're generating interest in new people into our community that have been doing past life therapy. And we're happy to have all of them here tonight. Our tried and true one is Virginia, who's been on the board of directors for a few years and has been training regression therapists. So she's one of the people as well. And we decided, instead of introducing everyone by their academic bios and their credentials and all that, we're going to have a little more heart-centered kind of intro and let people talk a little about their journey as their introduction of how they got to be into this field and doing this work. So people are going to introduce themselves tonight. And we'll have the presentations. It'll be 4 of them, about 10 minutes each, and then we'll move into questions and answers. So write down your questions. We're not going to interrupt people while they're talking to ask questions. Write them down. And at the end, I will call on anybody who wants to share, or you can chat your question if you prefer to do it that way. And we'll probably go about an hour and a half, maybe a little more. And if any of you need to leave in the middle of it, that's okay. You know, this is very informal. We're not requiring that you are in attendance the whole time. And we're going to begin with Susan Lyons. I'm going to put you as the speaker, Susan, okay? Because we're going to video you that way.
Hello, everyone. My name is Susan Lyons, and I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist with a specialty in past life regression. I feel like I was divinely guided to this vocation through the work of my grandfather, who was a psychologist and hypnotherapist, practicing past life regression in the late 50s, 60s, 70s, and probably also the 80s. I was exposed to this early on, even in the womb. My mother, while pregnant with me, was sitting in on a past life regression groups that were being held in my grandfather's living room. My soul essence was observing hypnotherapy and past life regression even before I was born. When my grandfather passed away, I asked for all of his hypnotherapy materials, not knowing at the time that this would lead to my life purpose. I've personally experienced profound healing through this body of work, and I'm honored that I'm able to assist others to find purpose and clarity so that they can live their lives to the fullest potential. And shall I begin and continue with my story, Holly?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I will call my client Adam. I've changed his name for privacy. Here are some of the following questions put forth regarding what can we learn from having a non-human experience. What is it like to not have an ego? Is time experienced differently? Are there parallels to being human and non-human? And can a non-human experience enrich the human experience? So the story opens with Adam becoming aware that he's in a body of a pregnant coyote. I'm here in this animal temporarily to watch and observe. I have a specific function. The coyote is near giving birth and needs a safe place, so is observing from afar. The coyote has, because of the raging hormones, a heightened sense of awareness and vigilance, sensing with smell, sound, and even through its fur. He calls himself the sensor or the watcher. The real essence in the body of this coyote is from a different realm.
It's open.
The watcher is borrowing this body for a limited time. The watcher has been with this coyote for 3 seasons and chose this vehicle because of fear and strong feelings that are associated with this planet. Through these emotions, he's getting the pulse and the vibration of the change that's happening here on Earth. The watcher's essence does not have ears or eyes or a body. It's a vibration, sending information back to what is called, my client calls the guild. The mission is to see if things are going to stick. Are humans going to live in harmony with the planet? This planet is unique. There begins to be some movement going on, and the coyote uses its senses to get an assessment. There are some monsters here. The monsters are working in conjunction with each other There's no individuality. It's a destructive force, right when the planet is being seeded with getting ready for entities of a higher vibration. These monsters look like squat mechanical devices with no features and no faces. They have a stuck, heavy energy, and they're not from this world. They're from a barren planet outside of the solar system, and they're here to test us to jump into a different level. They're an obstacle and an oppositional force. Change can be more powerful with opposition. They do not engage or attack, they just tromp around, and their very presence itself creates fear. The time frame this is happening is after the dinosaurs and when the planet is being set up to determine if it is suitable for the human vibration. There's some beginnings of what are humans, not yet what we would call modern humans. These monsters want to inhabit this for themselves and are not open to any other changes going on. They're opposed to a higher vibration of beings being here. Because they come from an area that is dense and dark and not on Earth, they're in opposition to the idea of evolution and a higher vibration and wanting to stake a claim. The Watcher is transmitting information back to the Guild, which is a group of vibrations from different galaxies, realms, and dimensions. The energy of the Guild is very comfortable, and it's a vibration of change, evolution, and love. The coyote was chosen because it is 99% instinct, no ego or wish or designs. Also because there are some early settlers that have a strong connection with them, like independence, vital survivor qualities and abilities, a full expression of earth and life through the embodiment of instinct and wildness. For this early group of humans, the coyote is revered, and being pregnant, it is more vulnerable and agile. And with giving birth, responsible for something new. The Guild is interested to know what it means to be responsible. What will the coyote have to navigate by being responsible for creating new life, and what specific things must it navigate? I asked what these early humans called themselves. At the time, there was no identifying name, but later on they become known as the Fremont Indians of the American Southwest. This is right around the evolutionary leap when our brains expand, and happens specifically because of this other realm, the Guild. For our species to become more spiritually enlightened. The Indians are intergalactic travelers staking their claim here, and they can see where they came from. They see the bigger picture. They have a window into the heavens, and other realms are not closed to them. They can see through the coyote's eyes as well. The doors of perception remain open to them, and the monsters are cut off from this. The feel of the monsters is very different than the Indians. The monsters are not in agreement with the vibration of love or instinct. If this planet becomes inhabited by a high vibrational, instinctive, harmonious group, they will lose their foothold here. They do not have the capacity to expand their vibration. They have a one-dimensional quality energetically, and they are in this area and a lot of other areas, planets, and dimensions. There is something not animated about them. What is happening here is not good or evil, it's just opposition and contrast. The client's energy is in a coyote and not just a coyote, because the Guild wants to get the full experience of being on Earth. They want glimpses of what actually is happening. So being in the coyote is more experiential. The coyote is willing for the Watcher to take a look for a short time. These higher vibrations of the Guild need to have a certain distance or separation from humans and animals, or they would influence us too much. The experiment, development and cultivation and enlightenment. And if they are too involved, they will mess up the results, turning things on its head. There is an agreement that if we don't ask, we won't be interfered with, so the change will be organic and not manipulated. And so what is it in it for the Guild? The word farmer is a meaningful archetype here. They are farming here, preparing the ground, fertilizing it, and seeding these vibrations with the hope that there will be a crop that comes out of it. The evolution of the human experience. The Guild's reward is it adds to the magnitude of the vibration. It increases its vibrational match, and therefore increased ability to focus and create intention throughout this realm. The farmer vibration is golden and yellow. And to plant something, intention and creation, which adds to the will of the universe, to be in harmony, goodwill, love, and enlightenment. The farmers are part of the guild and its main intention of the guild. They look for fertile places to see if they can get human flesh and blood and animals, things that are vulnerable, to try to work with this, like a cultivation. Living things can learn to change vibration through intention. The consciousness of my client and the guild was created with the Big Bang. There is not a name for it. It is just a vibration, the vibration of love. The watcher's consciousness or energy has been on this planet before, early man, ape, and has learned how to manipulate his vibration. And not all in the guild can do this. He has done this on other planets and other realms. The watcher's vibration is a blue mist. There's a small blue flame inside of his vibration, which is outside of time. There is no time, and it's all happening at once. The ultimate goal is to gain the knowledge that is in harmony with the path of sentient beings. The coyote gives birth to the cubs and is so intent on watching the experiment from a distant vantage point where it is safe that she sacrifices herself to the cubs. She does not leave this place to find food and breastfeeds the cubs and loses all of her energy until she fades away. The consciousness of the watcher stays with her for a time, even through the decay process. The task is complete. The watcher returns to the guild to be realigned and rejuvenated, then is split into many tiny consciousnesses and sent back out for more experiences. I asked if there was a choice to where the watcher goes next, the next mission. The watcher says this does not come up about choice. In a body, will comes into play, but not here. It's separate, but still part of one. It's not about individuality, but the greater good of the whole. Some important questions I asked to wrap up the session. Can the guild share with humanity where we are headed and what our intention should be at this point? The word used is non-resistance. And why? The guild says resistance and striving and fear about life and the length of it is not the vibration we are here to amplify. We're here for love, acceptance, and harmony. The guild wishes the vibration to grow in mass and find harmony. There has to be some discord for harmony to mean anything. So to resist or fight against evil or to be careless is not recommended. Just be clear, steer clear, and observe it. Magic is happening here on earth in actual physical growth, and growth equals transformation. Stay with it, be open-hearted, and with pain and suffering, relationships, don't check out, become immersed in a battle, or become addicted to something. Stay clear and stay with it. I asked, what can Adam learn from this experience? A peach-colored warmth of energy is bathing away, rinsing away any stumbling blocks and places where he had stored identity. The message is, I am not here to judge my pace or the quality of my experience. Enjoy being alive, smile at my folly, good fortune, and my fears. He closes with, I am a vibration having a healing experience, and it's a comfort to see that. The end. Thank you.
And thank you to Adam for allowing us to hear his story.
Yeah.
There's so much wisdom there for all of us. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Wow. I'm going to take a deep breath after that.
Yeah.
Whew. Okay. So Lesley Mitchell-Clarke is going to go next. You there, Lesley?
You're muted, Lesley. Lesley, you're muted.
That's Greg. That's Greg.
Okay, there we are.
There we are.
That's right, because that's the first time in 300 generations of my family. Usually we open the refrigerator door and do 15 minutes, so that's kind of how it works. Okay. So firstly, I just want to thank all of you for being so welcoming and accepting. This is my first time joining the organization and also certainly presenting. And today I wanted to talk about um, how I came to work with experiencers in regression, because that really is my specialty. So I have been a certified clinical master hypnotherapist for some time, and probably around 15 years ago now, I really began being interested by the experiencer contactee process. And for some reason, those kinds of clients and patients began to come my way. And certainly one of the most memorable individuals that I've ever known is a gentleman named Wes Roberts. Well, that is a nom de plume, but he is a college professor, a professor of technologies, and a lifelong experiencer. And he began to have sessions with me. And I should probably mention I am also um, connected with MUFON and also Dr. Edgar Mitchell's organization Free. So many contactees, experiencers, etc., are forwarded to me for, for regression or my take on what's happening. Anyway, Wes Roberts came to me, and he was the most nervous, hyper vigilant person I think that I had ever met. And the poor man, like many experiencers, was didn't know if he was sane or insane. He was trying to juggle a very straight ahead life as an educator, and was having fantastic experiences, which sometimes included markings on the body or what have you. So we began working together, and as I found my way in working with experiencers, and they're really, especially 10, 15 years ago, there was no manual on this, on how to work with these individuals and direct them to specific experiencers and release the negativity and heal them. So everything that I do, and I say this unabashedly, everything that I do in my work with experiencers and regression is a direct result of my training in past life regression and metaphysical hypnosis with Georgina Cannon. I did not reinvent the wheel, folks. I'm not here to say that, but I adapted specific tried and true modalities that we use in past life regression to explore why these individuals in fact incarnated into this physical lifetime with these special abilities. And so that is, as I see it, my goal, my job is to assist these very special people, of which I now believe there are probably millions, but assist these special people in integrating and processing their experiences so that they emerge as the light workers and activists, if you will, that they chose to be when they selected to come into this lifetime. And so for Wes Roberts and for any of the experiencers that I work with which I can have a long, healing relationship, I always do past life regression, because that is invariably where the answer to their big question is, why me? Why me is the big question. And, the answer is, it is a universe of free will. And it is my belief now, from all of the evidentiary and anecdotal evidence that I've collected on these experiences, that it's my belief that these experiencers have chosen to come into this lifetime at this specific moment. And in fact, these very special people who cross all ethnic, intellectual, cultural lines, by the way. I mean, we're not talking about a specific strata of white privileged North America. No, this is a widespread experience that individuals are having who have chosen to come in. Now, Wes Roberts, when I first inducted him into a past life regression session to explore this why me question, he easily was regressed back to a lifetime where he was a kind of a being that I would almost have to say is maybe an ultra terrestrial. I'm not sure how physically dense this civilization was and is, but he described himself as a tall, by 3 meters, what is that, 6 feet, a very tall, slender being who is not obviously male or female. They are in genders, but it's not something that you can easily ascertain from looking at them. And they do tend to be what we would call of a Nordic modality, with long hair and blue or green eyes. But their system, according to Wes, is not visible to us because it is in fact not in our dense vibration. So any drones or satellites we sent where we thought it was, we would not see anything because of our dense vibration. So and Wes identified in the first past life regression that I did with him with a being that he came to call his twin. And now what that turned out to be is that he has had and continues to have a soul relationship. Perhaps you've heard of the expression, I don't know, twin souls, but a soul relationship with this particular being from that particular lifetime. And there are children that have been somehow mystically conceived, which he has been asked to hold in some of his encounters with these beings. So Wes continues to engage with his twin regularly in sessions. And in fact, now what we really are working on with Wes and with some of other my peeps is real-time communication. And because, as I think I mentioned earlier, time as a linear strip is an illusion. That's not really how it works. And we can in fact communicate in real time with various extraterrestrial beings with whom contact has been made. So the answers are coming in, and the answers are coming from past life regressions and from interlife regressions, which, by the way, is another one of my mentor, Dr. Georgina Cannon's specialties. She has taken the Newtonian, the Michael Newtonian materials, which involve really long, exhausting regressions that nobody can tolerate, and has adapted them for practical use. So the past life regression and the interlife regression is the tool which will allow us to help these people who have the big question, why me?
Thank you so much.
Did I overtalk?
No, perfect.
Okay,
Perfect. Thank you so much.
my
Everybody
pleasure.
take a breath.
Good. Okay.
We'll have a little pause between here so we can kind of assimilate a little bit.
It's heavy. It's heavy stuff. It's heavy stuff. I'm telling you, it is.
And stuff that we all resonate with so deeply.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Okay, next is Virginia Walken. And she's one of our board members. This is her first time presenting for us.
Yep.
Take it, Virginia.
Okay. Holly did tell me that we were going to be introducing ourselves, and of course I totally forgot. So I'm going to wing it a little bit. Although I've had enough clients and people ask me why I got into this and what I get out of it. So I have said this before. And I'm going to try to make it quick so I have time for my talk, because I think this is a wonderful blending of stories. I'm looking for the overlapping patterns of all our stories, and I'm getting to see them. But anyway, all right, so how did I get started? I've always known, even when I was a little kid, little kid in South Carolina, that I had been other people at other times. I just had that knowing. I didn't know what it meant. I remember my mother mentioning the word reincarnation. I was about 11 years old. And it was, I thought, well, that's kind of cool. Other people know about this. This is really great. Fast forward, and I always had an interest in the idea, but in those days, way back in the, dinosaur age of the 60s, it's not really something you talk too much about. So that was, that was all. Fast forward to 1993, and I am sort of an at-home mom, and I'm doing boring at-home mom things. And this story is basically, the core of the story is an experience of letting the universe take over, allowing the universe to answer your request, and trusting what the universe brings you. So I'm folding laundry and watching boring daytime television like you do. And there was an interviewer who was talking to Dr. Brian Weiss about his second book, and Through Time into Healing. And that was the very first time I had heard about past life regression, or past life regression as a healing modality. And I'm in mid-fold going, oh my God. And out of my mouth and it wasn't me talking, I went, that's mine. And the universe apparently said, okay, because within about 2 months, I met someone, we were doing a project together and chit-chatting like you do. And I said, so what do you do? She goes, well, I do past life regression. And I went, tell me, show me, I want that. And she said, well, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. And I said, okay, that's my plan. And I had to go back and finish my undergraduate training. My children were old enough and in school I could do that. So I went back part-time at home learning. And 97, I got my undergraduate degree. And then I went into the, what was at the time, APRT, and investigated what training programs they had. And I was told you have to get hypnosis training done. You have to get the APART past life regression training. And I joined just at that moment when they went from APART, all of you oldies but goldies will know this, they went from APART to IART, from whatever APART stood for. Anybody remember? How you remember the original name?
Association for Past Life Research and Therapies.
Okay. And they went into the International Association for Regression Research and Therapy, and that's when I joined. I did my training through them, 2000, put my shingle up, and it just went from there. And the same thing happened when someone handed me a book, Michael Newton's first book, Journey of Souls. I went, that's mine. And at that point, I knew that the universe was listening. So I knew that that seed had been planted within a year. Someone said, oh, by the way, he's teaching down in Whitfield, Virginia. You might want to check it out. And, that was that. So that's how I got there. Just basically recognizing from a heart level, that's mine. That's my path. And then doors opening, the universe just opening doors. I know at one point I was questioning, should I go for my master's degree in transpersonal psychology, and then, because that's going to be a lot of money and a lot of time, and then to the hypnosis training. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it or not. And I was meditating and I asked my guide, what is it I'm supposed to do here? what is the purpose that I'm supposed to do here? And I was told, and I know it was my guide because it was a male voice in here, not my voice, teach the others the truth about death. I said, okay, that's it. That's my job. And a year later, after I committed myself and I'd done the initial training, in another meditation, the same voice said, you changed your karma. I don't know what it was before, but this is where I am now. So I'm good with that. How has it changed my life? How much time have we got? I mean, it's just everywhere in my life. I am a professional. I have a career path. I have people all around me, like all of you guys, kindred spirits that I'm connected to. And I have no fear of the future and no fear of death, because I know that everything is falling into place the way it needs to. And I know that I'm helping people. And I always feel that if I make a positive difference in one person's life, then I've earned my keep for that day. And I feel like that's what I'm doing. So, so that's me. That's how I got here. How I got here was Holly invited me to be on the board. So that's how I got here. Okay, so I've got my story. I'm going to also read my notes because I'm not going to be able to memorize this. Okay, so my client's name, I changed the name to Jay. That's not her real name. She contacted me because she wanted to do the Life Between Life work. So my first session was remote, was in August 2020. We continued working until June 2021 when we actually did the past life, the Life Between Life work. Her initial presenting issue when we got started were medical issues and fears and any possible job, career path for the next 10, 20 years, kind of trying to find herself again. We spoke at length on the phone, and it became clear that she wanted to explore more of the spiritual and inner realm opportunities that this kind of work could provide. By our first face-to-face on Zoom session, her goals had definitely changed. She kind of shared that she wanted to know if she was a hybrid soul and what is her actual history. She felt that she was always alone, isolated, and never truly connected or safe with another, and very separated. So I asked her, if you are a hybrid soul, how does that change your perspective about your self-identity? And her response was, it is a way of understanding myself, about relationships, and being with others. A lot of the initial non-human life information was already part of her conscious mind awareness. She'd already been getting glimpses and messages. And she said she had memories that she knew had taken place not on Earth, at home and outside, but not Earth. So we did a couple of regular past life regression sessions, like you do. And then by March 2021, the first non-human connection came through very clearly. This is a piece, because I'm writing everything down like a crazy person as my clients are talking. And so I write everything down, what they say. So this is from her conscious mind awareness initially. We are an ancient race, different from other groups, different from the TNI, the Michael Newton information. We all came to Earth to work here together, pulling in resources from many other groups. There is interest from lots of different groups to be part of what is going on Earth right now. I work with other groups and different beings. I do feel isolated. A lot of the souls I work with are not my people. Even though we have worked together for many lifetimes, it's hard to feel connected. And then she talked a little bit at length about the Federation of Races that are looking out for Earth as Earth evolves. So this is the part where she's talking in trance. And I very quickly realized it wasn't Jay talking. This is my soul talking, my true self. I struggle with the language. I come from a place where we are true self always. We didn't need to incarnate with bodies just as we are here and now. Being here on Earth was the only way to survive, the only choice. I'm going to paraphrase a lot of it because it's very lengthy. The next session in April, Again, in trance, we live, we have a family and a home. We are more balanced with nature and the environment. I know we have children. I am mother. There is more, but finding the right words is a struggle. Bringing a new life is not like humans where it all happens without. There is a deeper connection. And so I asked, do you communicate with the child before it is born? Yes, others can also if you choose. Compare with how the soul merges with human body, a sense of having input into how the child grows. With humans, it is all DNA and programming. I am helping the child decide and influence its own DNA. The feeling of going in and helping to decide. Both parents are involved with this process of development of the unborn child. There is still a sense of not really seeing until birth, still a sense of awe when you help, where you helped create this life. Again, paraphrasing, she moves through the lifetime of this individual with their life partner. Close at first, then life and work and family brought about different pressures and expectations and interests, and they kind of drifted apart. But the core of the connection was always there. And something began to happen to their home world. It was a dying planet, so they had to make choices and leave. And then we said, go to the ending of things, go to the end of this life. A lot of time has passed, much longer compared to human lives. Somewhere I remember her saying in human terms, over 500 years. I feel I am now in that one place I've always pictured, not on earth, not same as house I was in long ago, not family house, not a communal feeling. They are distant. There have been many changes to our society. We are more scattered. I am in a place that is very different. This is not like it was before. I feel that this is not Earth, nor where I was from, a different place. And then she goes, Mars, question mark. So we're gonna kind of stick with that, although we're not sure that's where it was. This place was dying when we got here. Some of my people went straight to Earth, while others like me wanted to try to save this place. There was some remnant of civilization that asked for us to help. We had to leave where we were. Anyway. Different approaches, different ways that we came up with to leave. There were several alternatives. Some left to emigrate to populate other civilizations. A small group stayed to keep doing research. Could we ever go back? No, it was a suicide mission. There was only a small chance to go back, and it wasn't an option. Okay. Earth is so lush compared to Mars, question mark. Water is so much a part of the whole experience of being there. Mars had barely enough vegetation to keep atmosphere, barely enough water to keep vegetation growing. Different groups went to different areas. Many groups will break away and not be connected to the whole group. The atmosphere and ecosystem slowly breaking down. It won't be viable much longer. The civilization here made choices that were unwise and caused too much damage, cannot recover. My mate went straight to Earth to work there and work with humans development. The group on Earth is working with humans, helping them to evolve faster along specific lines and in specific ways to make the DNA stronger, to make it possible to be able to have a physical experience again. We developed DNA or helped other groups. Human life is closer to life on home world. I'm making decision to go work on Earth. Core groups came here earlier to help humans develop and evolve to be potential vehicles so the ones who ascended can return. Other groups have also done this. Those that went to different worlds merged with other cultures and DNA and became different. Some of them are here now, trying to aid and influence human and cultures and technology. So that was all that one session when we finally focused on that non-human, non-Earth experience. And she spent a great deal of time working with this information that she'd received and listening to the recordings we made, and sent me copious notes about other information that kept coming forward. Now that she's opened the door, it just was flowing beautifully. I'm not going to go into all that right now, but We finally get to the LBL session in June, this past June, which we actually were able to do in person because of vaccinations, yay. But this was interesting because it wasn't, I've been doing LBL sessions since 2004, and this was not your typical session. This was more of a transpersonal conversation because once she was in a trance state, her real soul being took over completely. It wasn't even just her channeling, it was direct. She described drawing Jay into her center to communicate with her and protect her. I think because the frequency was so high that it might be difficult for the physical human to make that connection. So she drew her in. So it was with this being that the rest of the conversation continued. Jay's question, why am I drawn to this information? How is it helpful? And then the response was, I'm showing her this image, holding up a mirror to humans to help them evolve. There are different races, a hierarchy of some kind. There's a basic big picture, a plan. It is very intricate because of the races interwoven with humans. We have all been working to help humans evolve to raise their DNA. It started with humans and a surveillance of this primitive life. Multiple races decided that we could work on Earth and continue and work with life forms here. Also, we gave the humans more awareness of self, concepts of family and clans and being together, raising young together, evolving, being better with each generation, and the very beginnings of human society. We are working and helping humans evolve in order to make them into vessels for incarnations, so we can know even more thoroughly what they need to evolve. It is still their evolution. Earth is so hard. Humans are actually a part of every race that incarnates. Otherwise, other races couldn't incarnate. There are other races that are not part of our project. There are many more physical beings that do not want to incarnate, do not want soul energy joining them. And there are more physical beings that don't want us to do it to them. They want to find out how it is done, how we join energies. They don't really understand. There is one race that is trying to uncover it for mercenary reasons, power. So far, they haven't managed to succeed. We tried to work on that in a different way to get them to leave. One of the questions that we discussed prior was about abductions. They are trying to get DNA and physical information, and we are trying to stop them. Keeping all that UFO stuff in secrecy works against us. As long as there is no official recognition of other races, it is much harder to stop them. There are many races, some use more energy than others and can see further because they are more energy based. So I asked, okay, different races, will the knowledge of this be officially recognized soon? Because technology is increasing, it will, not sure when. And understanding, there's a component of human society that wants to make themselves immortal with AIs. That is not going to happen the way they think it will. The soul is having a human experience. That is not downloadable. That's not possible. Some of the other races are not as concerned for human well-being. All the souls who are reincarnating are separate entities, but still part of one underlying original source. And they are not insignificant or less because they are separate. Human population is protected by us as much as possible. We had a major hand in their evolution and we incarnate in them. Our duty is to protect. What is this ongoing project? Hybrid souls and incarnating outside of Earth. Those other places are also being protected. Earth isn't the only place, but very difficult to incarnate here. There's a small percentage of humans that are not being incarnated, that don't have the soul energy joining. Eventually, most of the race of humans will evolve to such a high energy they won't need to incarnate souls that can exist on their own. And her final words, Michael Newton's books give valid information, but not complete. It doesn't include the other races. It is one aspect of the bigger story. Also, all the variations of energy. Energy has order, not random chaos. There is order in the universe. There's a physical world and an energy world, and they connect within rules of order. Later on, she shared one of these statements with me. Healing for Jay came with the learning. She has a lot of physical issues and obstacles and things she's struggling with. And a lot of the healing that she was seeking came with this learning. She wanted to explore her soul's history, why she had the feelings she had of isolation and never being with her own people. More able to accept herself as she was without judgment or blame now. She continues to research and explore, write and study this stuff. This just might be the lifelong work she was looking for, not a job, but a career in research and study of her own history. And the update. It's weird to think about that now because since all this, I feel a real disconnect between my human life and real life that's been hard to navigate. But I remember knowing after our June session in your office that the physical issues are intended to keep me here and bound to husband, her partner, for reasons I don't fully understand, although some I do. So I need to accept it and keep going down this path. And the basic synopsis that we came up with was, Jay has always felt she didn't quite fit in with what was supposed to be normal. For a long time, she was drawn to the idea of being a hybrid soul. Through several past life sessions and a lifetime life session, she was able to see how over the millennia, she and many other races have worked to help humans evolve body, mind, and spiritual energy. There is a much bigger plan with the original source. We only see a portion of that picture at this time. Her healing came from learning. She wanted to explore her soul's history, why she had the feelings she had of isolation and never being with her own people. She wanted to be able to accept herself as she was without judgment or blame. After our work together, she continues to research and explore, write and study. So that was just overlap. So that's my story.
That sounds like it could go into a book.
That's what I told her.
She's got a lot of information in there and channeling of
Yes.
really profound stuff.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
absolutely. Yep.
Thank you. Take another breath. Now we get to hear from Valerie Devereaux about her client.
Okay, thank you so much, Holly. I'm going to set my timer real quick here so that I don't go too long, because I know everybody wants to ask questions. And Kiki, I too was looking at the patterns. What are the patterns? And so my story starts out a little bit like Kiki's, you know, as a child, really thinking about reincarnation. And then in the late 80s in college, a fellow was telling us how he'd gone to all these doctors because of stomach problems. No one could figure out what they were. So he went to a regressionist. And it was the first time I'd ever heard about that. And he went to a regressionist and saw 3 lives, knew it was him. 1, he was shot in the stomach, 1, a sword to the stomach, and 1 stabbed with a knife in these different lives. And then his stomach problems went away. And it was so amazing to me at that time to hear that. And then a few years later in the early 90s, I had an event that brought forward a past life for me, which I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was me. So that kind of got the ball rolling with me meeting people that were either channels or mediums, doing work with Dr. Brian Weiss, and really studying and facilitating, assisting people in regression work. But it wasn't until very recently that I decided that this is something that I could do full time. Like, why not do what's my passion in life? So it's kind of, it's so cool for me to hear how people started really young doing this as their passion. Even though I was doing it, it was more part-time. I didn't think about doing it as like my vocation. So it's been a really amazing journey, and I'm really excited about being a part of IBRT. So thank you for that. And I'm going to talk about this client. It's a little bit different than the other stories because I met him and he wasn't interested in exploring off-planet life. There was nothing like that. We hadn't even discussed anything like that. He's learning to channel, and he really wanted to look at what kind of blockages there were. He felt that maybe there were some blockages, and let's do a regression to see how where that leads. And this is one of those instances where, you know, when you meet someone and you just like, you feel like you know them, you've met them before, you have some connection. So immediately when we first met, we had this recognition. And so with the regression, he went into hypnosis very easily. He went into a Native American life. And he was talking about this life and how there were 6 of them sending energy into the earth. And as we continued, he said that, you know, we all have our spot. And I said, you know, explain that to me more. And he said that we all have our spot within the node of each other's sacred geometry. They embody a frequency, and because they come together in a certain way, it unlocks a portal in the earth. So that got me thinking, okay, they're unlocking a portal in the earth. So he went on to talk about that and how he was tasked with bringing Mother Earth back online. So then as I started to ask questions, he completely shifted into his higher self, or you could say his subconscious. It was a complete shift. And the higher self began explaining to me that I was part of this group of the 6 and giving me information about my connection with it. He also said that, as I asked more about that, he said that my client, which I'm calling Jim, he journeyed down through frequencies, vibrations, and a source point from a gray-blue planet. And he said that it's very smooth. It's not like Earth at all. There's no water, only mass. It's very, very dense, has a denseness. And it's where records are kept on a galactic level. So we talked about and he explained how this is a jumping off point for many souls, where higher beings go to offload information. And that in this life now, Jay was given this mission to come here to Mother Earth, and he kept calling Mother Earth Gaia, to assist her in coming back online. So it was a discussion about channeling energy to bring Mother Earth back online in this time where we're living now. And I just want to read a couple little pieces to you about that. He said that, and when I asked him about the lives and coming here now to assist Earth with coming back online, he said that each life has directives. They have a narrative to embody. And with working with that narrative leads you closer to her, to your original mother, to all that is. So we work with individuated beings. We work with the unique narratives, the unique time, and this unique energy at this unique time. And once the energy stops fully integrated and embodied by the individuated being, that unique time space that creates order. So again, we're talking about order, which is what Virginia was talking about with her client, that you create an order and you're moving back into a state of oneness, back into connectedness and divine orchestration of energies on many levels. And he said that this lifetime that they brought forward with the Native American collective was to show the beauty that's already here on Earth, the beauty that's here, the beauty that is within each of us, and that we're all able to fully embody that beauty. And he talks about the energy and how we can pour energy through the tops of our heads, through our heart into the earth, and we can each help to bring earth online during this time of transition. So that was really, I felt that that was really beautiful information. And I asked, as we went further into the discussion, I asked, you know, when we embody on earth and we have experiences in the body, do others that are connected with us that aren't embodied, do they also learn from it? And he said, absolutely. The embodiment process is a divine one, is a gift. And the other beings who are not embodied, no longer embody, or haven't ever embodied, they're still a part of the fabric. They are part of the oneness of love. And when the integration process is achieved on a physical level, it is absolutely felt and ripples through all the other levels in all directions. I just thought that was such a beautiful explanation of how we're all connected. So he went on to talk to Jim more about his channeling and about two other lives, one in Egypt and one in South America. It was really beautiful and it really tied everything in. We didn't have enough time to go deeper into the off-planet aspects of it. And we have set up another meeting. I was hoping that we would have had the other regression before our talk tonight, but it is in the works. So I'm excited about that. But I felt that this was a really interesting example of how he came in looking to talk about something else, blockages. And yet, just by directing it a little bit, we ended up talking about another planet and where he came from. And I just wanted to remind everyone that it doesn't necessarily have to be set up to where, yes, I know I'm from another planet, or I know that I'm connected to off-planet beings. And I think that as Lesley was saying, that we all have a connection and we're all very connected. It's just especially the time now where we're all waking up to it. So that's my story, and I'm really excited about exploring more lives, regressions with off-planet stories with, as Lesley was saying, experiencers or others who have that connection with off-planet beings. So thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. Beautiful. Okay, now we're going to come back together as a group, and any of you who have comments or questions, you're welcome to share. I can pretty much see everybody, I think.
My video,
So maybe you could use your reaction with the hands, just in case I don't have everybody on the screen and somebody will pop up hopefully. Anybody have any questions, comments?
well, can you hear me?
Is that Greg? Greg, is that you? We're not hearing you very clearly.
All right. Well, I'll just say, I'll write it. It's so wonderful to be experiencing the richness of our experiences together with people. It's just extraordinary. Thank you. Did you get that?
Yes, it was truncated, but we got the gist of it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, your reception's not good. Anybody else? So maybe we could talk about some of the patterns we were seeing. That was brought up a couple times. Anybody saw any consistent themes throughout these 4 presentations?
Holly,
Yes.
I had a question about the process of people coming into the work. And it appeared that they had their families, they had life experience. And then while they had known that they were involved in something bigger all along, they didn't really take the steps to get involved in it until they were more in their, I would put the age around 40s. And is there something about what the higher beings want you to experience life before you come into this higher awareness?
Seems to be a pattern around it.
There's a pattern that I saw and that I had in myself. So I wondered if you who teach get to see that pattern.
Well, when you're talking about that, I'm thinking about Jung and how Jung talked about our developmental stages, and that usually it's not until we're in our 40s that we
Yeah.
start to manifest that soul energy.
Right.
So that would just be my opinion and my thoughts on it, but maybe somebody else have some ideas. Yep. Virginia.
Okay. I remember reading in one of the many books that I was working on in my own research that the stage of maturity where you are no longer so invested in, this human life is when you can start looking at broader type questions, and that many traditional ancient mystical schools and trainings wouldn't take a student before they turn 35 or 40. They just wouldn't even consider someone younger than that because they're not ready to think in this bigger, broader way. That you have to reach a certain level of maturity before you can start asking those questions.
Did any of
That's
you
my
in
thought.
your journey start asking the questions before you were 40?
I mean, I'd asked the questions most of my life, but as far as really diving in deeply,
Yes,
I
exactly.
was 45, 50 before the really deep dive happened.
Okay.
Same here.
Yeah.
I was 42.
Yeah. Patterns on patterns.
Yep.
Good question, Becky. What are some other patterns? You had one, Virginia.
Yeah, I noticed that I think all 4 of us mentioned the idea of multiple races, that there are beings, but we're beings in various levels of development, various levels of vibrational energy that are engaged and involved with the population here on Earth. Because I remember being told that 20 plus years ago, that there are lots of different races. And if you look at someone, they may appear to you as human, because that's how you're supposed to see them. But, it's a good chance they're not. And there's some that are beneficial to humans, and there are some that are just hoping and trying to take advantage because the humans aren't quite there yet developmentally. And I did hear the whole idea of multiple races. That was a pattern I noticed.
Were there any themes around humanity and Earth and why these beings are here in their curiosity here? Why here? What do you feel like keeps coming up thematically around that?
I mean, what I kept hearing pretty consistently was that this planet, this 3D reality is pretty fierce in a lot of ways. It's really intense.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of emotion. It's a brutal place. And I mean, it works you over. You grow, you learn.
And
It's like
one of the-
graduate school.
yeah. But one of the things I keep hearing is what a unique place it is and what unique opportunity there is here because of our evolution of consciousness. And that's
Yeah.
a crucial piece to being on Earth, is that
Yeah,
potential
and,
there.
and somehow this environment here fosters that or supports that in some way, or else kicks us in the rear end. I don't know, but anyway,
Well,
yeah,
the fierceness is what supports us in moving into that.
yeah,
You know, the whole dark night of the soul that we're in right now as a planet with everything. I mean, every part of our lives are unstable right now, is an opportunity.
mhm,
And we can no longer just be settled with what was. It's just not working anymore. And it is fierce,
yeah.
very fierce. Peter.
So Holly,
From my
Holly, was there
perspective,
a pattern in
it is
presenting
three-fourths.
problem of all the clients?
Can you guys
Came
put
in
your
for-
mics on mute unless you're talking, please, because we're getting feedback. Try again, Peter.
Okay. I think from my perspective, listening to the clients you've been talking about, if we were to consider Earth as being a free will planet, one of the few in the universe, if not the only one in the universe, then this is an opportunity for us to experience making choices. And there's a lot of help around us to help us make those choices. It's how our souls evolve through the choices that we make. And so we can choose to do it ourselves or ask for help. Ask for help because help's all around and is here to assist us in making those choices to help our souls evolve. And for the ascension process that I think is now underway, where we are shifting our consciousness into a realization that we're all one, and that's part of that whole process, and that Gaia herself is shifting in her own consciousness with us on board.
Valerie.
Thanks, Peter. I was really hearing the same thing. It's like they're here to assist us, and hearing what Susan was saying, they're also not only are they assisting us, but they're learning also. It's like we're assisting them. So I love that it's this partnership, really. Even though we feel like we're so separate and we're so individual and we're so alone at times, but yet they're here assisting us and we're assisting their growth too. So I love that aspect of it, that we're connected and we're assisting each other. And that I felt that really came through with everyone's talk.
Anybody else? Makes me want to start doing some more personal work to find out about my own non-human lives. How about you guys?
Me too.
Yeah. Anybody else? Okay.